Hey, Liron here. Hope you're doing well. I'm actually a little under the weather, so I'm definitely not going to show my face, and I will keep this video brief. Coughing here to the side, woke up with something. In any case, I did want to share with you this pretty fascinating painting process, which really brings up the question to me, like, can watercolor really do this? That's something that I've felt often when looking at others' paintings, and I think this little tiny painting captures the essence of this. So let's get to it. I am heavily pre-wetting the paper, and if you look at my reference photo, this is a picture taken through the car glass. Everything is out of focus. There's this very interesting arrangement of highlights and mid values and lights, and the key here is there aren't really any strong darks. And what this means is we have a lot of time. We can slowly push the painting to be darker, and because of the blurry and out of focus nature of it, the best approach here is to pre-wet the paper, which is something you don't see me do much of. So here we go. Here's a treat. Now, as I move down, I'm going to vary this wash and make it warmer, because the ground is obviously warmer than the sky that is kind of a more neutral blue. And I want to show that, and I am indeed thinking in terms of layers. This is the first layer, on top of which I'm going to put in the buildings and the cars and everything's going to be out of focus, right? This works really well in watercolor, to think in layers even when doing wet and wet, because it's just easier to merge areas of similar wetness. If you immediately start putting in the dark details, you'll have a really hard time maintaining a flow. So for this case, it's really beneficial to work wet and wet and to really gradually push things to be darker. So look, I'm going to start darkening the lower section, and I just want you to note how gradual this process is. Okay, people are always in a hurry, but this takes time because you need to get just the right timing of wetness on paper. And right now, the water on the paper and the paint is just too wet to get any significant details in. If I put in any significant detail, it's just gonna completely what do you call it? Like really mixed and I forgot the word. I have sick brain. Sorry about that. Disperse, I guess. And you will get just soft edges. It's just not going to work. So I'm slowly making my way and kind of darkening the bottom and trapping the light essentially in the center. That's kind of what you're seeing there in the scene. And look at all these buildings and the bus there and the little lights from the street, not street lamps, but rather I think these are elements catching the sunlight. With this kind of a painting, you don't really have darks. The value range really narrows down. And I've been wanting to paint something like this for a while now. It's the bane of my existence almost. Whenever I try tackling these subjects, I always end up darkening too much. I'm very heavy-handed and I like strong contrasts, but I really sometimes need to tone that down. And this is what I'm attempting to do here. So while this looks a little stronger and stronger gradually, this is still going to dry much lighter, and it's, if anything, going to be a gradual transition into the light area in the middle. But I do want you to look at my palette, because that's where most of here I am taking the first risk, just putting a building there. I looked at the sheen, and I apologize I haven't shown you in the light. I looked at the sheen on paper, and it looked like it's ready to go. But look at my palette. This is where most of the painting is done. Look at how thick the paint is, how much it doesn't move, okay? The paint is quite thick, and you have to do that when you're doing these kinds of wet and wet, where the surface is wet. If you come back wet again, you'll get crazy cauliflowers, and in this case, we don't need them, we don't want them. Now, one thing I did notice is this was too cool. So I added a bit of yellow, a bit of red, and I'm pushing this to be a little warmer. The entire scene is warm, and as long as you don't go too saturated here, the likelihood of you messing up is quite low. So this is pretty gray to begin with. It's not going to be a problem, but I am pushing it to be even more on the warm side. Whereas on the left side, I'm starting correctly from the beginning, starting with that warmth. Now look, this shape ends where the bus begins, because the bus has a really visible highlight on it, and it's of utmost importance, if we can, to maintain that gap. Now I will be introducing some opaque white paint, so keep an eye out, but we still don't want to darken too much things that don't need darkening, okay? Now, I want you to kind of take stock of where we're at in this process, because what you're going to see is right before your eyes, slowly the impression comes together. It's just going to happen at some point. This is the power of optical illusions. You really don't have power over it. It just has power over you, and you get to see what the illusion shows you. I'm going to use a bit of a kind of bluish opaque paint there for the darks on the bus, and you'll see it will create a nice little effect in a moment once I add more of the darks. But the idea is you will be captivated by the illusion at some point, even if it takes a moment. And the best paintings of myself that I like the most are those that are just completely illusion. It's almost on the verge of being a little abstract in some elements and areas. That's how I know I painted something truly good. Now, I would be remiss not to mention, if you want to learn how to paint like this, how to let go, enjoy the painting process, paint something you're proud of, check out the frustration-free watercolor course. I have thousands of happy students there, and I get emails every week from people who say it helped them discover freedom, and I actually have, like, you can see the before and after of people. So I'm going to put a link below. It's going to be the first link in the description box below, probably the first line too. Consider joining. It's like $49, one-time purchase, lifetime access. Watch at your own pace. You never lose access, really. You can just, watch the videos online, rewatch them as many times as you like. The easiest, I think, most fun format basically to learn. So check that out. Okay, and this does support this channel, supports what I do, it supports me as an artist, so I really appreciate it. Okay, let's lift a bit of this light area on top of the bus, and now we're coming back with some opaque paint. So check it out. Okay, this will really start to widen the range of values we have here by bringing back the lights, and things will start making a lot more sense, especially those lights in the distance. You'd be amazed. Now, I've been zoomed out quite a bit so far. Let me, in just a few moments, zoom in too to really show you the details. And already you can start to feel this. It's a lovely feeling of things slightly spreading out, because understand, the paper now is like 95% dry, but it is 5% wet. Things do spread out ever so slightly, like this white paint, and it's just straight out of the tube on my small brush. It still does spread out a little bit. This, for example, spreads out, but not a lot, so you have to be very careful and very use it very sparingly. You don't want to go overboard. In fact, not only will I just use it sparingly for some of the details, you'll also see me later on coming back with my finger, just kind of rubbing every line that seems too harsh, just to bring it into the illusion. I'm okay with a bit of it being more in focus. I'm fine with that. You can't get every single detail wet and wet always. That's fine. I mean, you can, but usually you won't. I'm okay with that. But I do want to kind of bring it in and invite it to join the overall feeling of the painting. Now, for the most kind of not the most significant thing, but is kind of a final move, I will add some more highlights to that crosswalk, just to better indicate that it's there, and then I will come back with a tissue just to kind of smoothen and soften it out, just like we did with that street light or whatever it is. And if you just take a step back, take a break from the video and come back, you will immediately see the impression, hopefully, and it just looks so good. It's vague. You can kind of tell what you're looking at. The more advanced version would be to paint this larger and with more details. And by the way, a few directional lines just to show where the road goes. That actually plays a major role here. I'm kind of struggling to get just the paper texture because it's small. Have that in mind. A bigger piece of paper, it would be much easier. Okay, so a lot of good things about painting larger, but for this little experiment, I really did just want to share with you this final result. Looking at this scan, by the way, it's 2 paper texture. I might edit it in post. There's a method to do that I learned recently, just to show more of the actual final result. Maybe you're looking at it at the screen, maybe you're not. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. Do be sure to check out the frustration-free watercolor course if freedom is the thing you struggle with, if your watercolors are stale or rigid. They just feel very kind of stuck, maybe even overworked. Check out the frustration-free watercolor course. First link. I do want to take this chance to thank everyone who supports me over on Patreon. Really, really appreciate it. If you want to receive credits at the end of the videos, be sure to check that out. I'll put a link somewhere in the description box, and I will talk to you again soon. Till next time, take care.